What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend. It is Friday for me, and that means I am going to be giving you my favorite carries from this past week. On Monday, I hit up another Micarta Monday theme, and that's going to be the Vastdeed Bellamy. This little blade here has really impressed me. For the money, you get M390. You get micarta, which I did force patina. That's why it does look a little bit darker than what it does in the pictures on the website. Unfortunately, I've learned that they are no longer making any additionals. They said once these sell out, they sell out. When I checked as of the upload of this video, they still had the carbon fiber variant. I recommend grabbing one of these. They are that good. It has a flipper tab. It has the fuller. You can reverse flick. You really can. You can reverse flick off of that very nicely. It has the front flipper, and all of the deployment methods I found work really well. Now, I can't get it out very easily with the thumb on the fuller, but again, you have the flipper tab and you have the front flipper, which I think works really well. I can reach around. That flipper, I think I forget that I have better luck coming down here and kind of letting the meat catch it as opposed to the nail. But I think you could come up with the nail, yeah, and get it pretty good. What this is really getting a lot of attention for is the action. It does have ceramic bearings on nylon washers. It has contoured scales, and these scales are milled out. So it isn't canvas micarta, it is regular micarta that they elected to mill, and I think that was a wise decision because it does feel very confident in hand. While I wouldn't use and abuse this in a hard use type of way, I have no issues taking it to a little bit of cardboard to break down a knife box on occasion, getting into my envelopes, and it really does fulfill all of my cutting needs. The M390 from Vastdeed seems to be really well treated, and I plan to keep an eye out on them to see what else they might be working on in the not too distant future. The lock bar access, I can get to it very nicely. It stands up really high that you can catch it. If you like to come in from the side, you're going to be able to get to it really easy. If you like to lay your finger on the flipper tab, the liner lock, good grief, you can really get to it very nicely so that you can unlock the knife with no issues. So again, really enjoying the action on this one. Gotta remember to come down for myself because of the large hands to get to that reverse fuller. I normally don't have this big of an issue, but I think it is because I am trying to get out in front of the camera while staying behind it to commentate. Hollow grind, as you can see, hopefully I'll try to zoom in, has a really nice hollow grind. It's super thin, done pretty well. Not a very tall blade, but it doesn't come into the end of the hollow grind too abruptly. It seems to do really nicely, and I've had no issues cutting with this. Micarta is really nice. The only thing that I do want to stipulate on here is that the standoffs back here were a little noisy, and you can probably see there I just threw a little bit of the lithium grease in there, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere and it's not going to hold too much dirt and debris, and I did wipe off as much as I could to keep that from being too noisy. But you did hear the rattle, but it's completely gone now. Nice little knife, highly recommended. And you're only going to be able to get the carbon fiber version, and if it sells out, it sells out. If you see it on Reddit or on the secondary market for a decent price, I wouldn't overpay for that. This is not one of those types of knives, but I would go ahead and recommend grabbing one of those. On Tuesday, I went for a Titanium Tuesday carry, a knife here. That is the WEI Beacon. I am really enjoying this knife. It is really breaking in nicely. The more I carry it, the more I do appreciate it. This has a really nice fuller, has a nice detent to it so that I am able to catch that very consistent. I do use the nail on this fuller as opposed to the meat, but I did find that it does catch the meat just as good. No issues there. Has a nice black wash going on here, so it does hide a little bit. You can see a little bit where I've used it to get into some boxes, but it does a good job masking it because it has that black wash on there. You can probably see a little bit where I broke down a box as well. Nice thin profile. This one here reminds me a lot of the Bug Out when it came with the factory scales. Mine now has the Flytanium scales on it, which are contoured, but only slightly. So it does still have a nice thin profile to it, but enough height to where it feels comfortable in hand. Same black wash going on here on the titanium, which dulls it down, gives it a slightly matty feel to it. Not super matty. It is still pretty slick. You can tell that it's titanium, but slightly. I kind of would have been interested to see if they would have done this milling all across the knife. I think that would have been awesome. I think it would have given it a pleasant texture without feeling too invasive. You can feel that titanium pocket clip a little bit. Again, not real bad, but you can feel that it's there. And I kind of wish they would just go to a milled instead of a stamped out clip. I think that would be a whole lot nicer. Access to the lock bar is okay. It's still not my favorite, but I think that's because it's slim. They didn't give a whole lot of access to it, but the good thing is, being that it's a frame lock and not a liner lock, you can still kind of work your way down in there without any issues. The action continues to get smoother and smoother on this one. The longer I carry it, the smoother it gets and the nicer that it feels. This one really has grown on me a lot, especially as it started to break in. That was what I had in the pocket on Tuesday. Wednesday, I went into Tuesday and Wednesday I was in the office, but Wednesday while I was in the office, I decided to carry something that I'm trying to get my impressions together on so that I can do the review. So you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek because, again, I am carrying these and then coming back with the new format, showing you what comes with the box, and then showing you the knife and giving you my thoughts and impressions. Wednesday, I had the Finchchernobyl Ant. This one here really has become my favorite Finch knife. I only have two that I kept in my inventory, which was the Lucky 13, and this one, Devil Finger, didn't really gel with me. But I really do like the Chernobyl Ant. This one here fits my hand a whole lot better. I'm able to get almost a full 4-finger grip. It feels like it is when it's in hand. You can kind of tell that you're at the very end, but there's not too much left hanging off. So I really do like that. And in this instance, the chunkier nature of the Finch knives come in handy because it's smaller, so the thickness helps with the grip, give you a little bit of confidence there. This one here is not 154 cm, as you can see here. This is 14C28N. It does have the Chernobyl Ant branding here, but it's very thin print and hard to pick up from a distance. Not too awful. And then the Finch logo is done tastefully here as well. I like the grind on this. This is a pretty good geometry. It's not the best, but it's not awful. And the 14C28N seems to be done really well. This is really cool because it does have this glow resin background with a little bit of copper and black in there, and you can kind of see that it's 3D there. So really interesting look, and each one's going to be a little bit different from the other. It does have their glow-in-the-dark crest, and it does have a very different titanium pocket clip. I kind of like the styling on that one and the change on that. Nice access to the lock bar, good action, very nice for a small knife. It will fall to your thumb, so just be careful of that. You can see it has kind of been, when I carried it on Wednesday, and that's not just this knife, there's a couple of knives that do this, it'll fall right down there and it'll just keep tagging your fingernail and chewing it up. So just be mindful of that. I recommend just kind of like I did there, getting it to where you hit the flipper tab first and then just let it fall shut the rest of the way. The blade has remained centered. I only carried it on Wednesday. I do plan to carry it a little bit more before I do the review on this one and get it out there. But actually, no, this is the second week that I've had it in pocket. Last week I picked it up on the weekend as a companion carry. Really like this one. I recommend, they have a couple of variants, but I do recommend this Finch. It is definitely one of my favorite. Thursday, I brought out a blast from the past. That is going to be my ZT0562. This one here is a Hinderer designed 20 CV blade steel. Nice tall flat grind. Definitely a full-sized knife. Feels really good in hand. I love the ergos on this. Whenever I pick it up, hold it in hand, just reminds me why I keep it around. Such a great feeling knife, and it is definitely meant to be used. This is a worker for sure. Makes short work of the cardboard boxes and does a lot of my other cutting tasks surprisingly well. I do have the taco bearings installed on here, and they do feel smoother, even though it doesn't look like it wants to fall shut. But let me tell you, once you get past that detent ramp, it just feels so smooth. The detent ball tension against the blade is what keeps it from falling shut, because when you don't have it engaged and you let it fall to the thumb with that flipper tab, it actually almost feels like it's going to bruise it because it falls so quickly and it has such a heavy blade. I think there's some lint in here, on here, from where it was in the pocket. I don't think I wiped it off when I was done. I think I just, that day I was tired and just threw it back in the case. Really do just like this. I recommend, you know, if you can't spend the $425 to $500 on a hinderer, this hinderer design, even though it is one of his older designs, is still one that I really enjoy. And ergonomically, I actually liked it a little bit better than the XM18 that I was carrying for like a week before I turned around to sell it and picked up my my Nkosi. So highly recommend it. Also, I love the sounds on this. I'm assuming because it's the full tie, that's why it sounds like that. But I really think for a full titanium ceramic bearing 20 CV steel knife that gives you that much blade steel in 20 CV and that much titanium, I think it's a pretty good deal. And I think it's a really nice representation for a USA made knife that you can get for $300, sometimes under, if you watch for a little bit of a sale. That is what was in the pocket on Thursday. And today I'm actually dual wielding again. First up, I'm going to share the Axon from Vero Engineering. I have cleaned this up and I did throw some skiffs down in there, and ever since I cleaned it up, it has really guillotine drop shut action. I mean, this thing, super smooth. The detent feels pretty good. I have debated kind of tuning it up a little bit. I think probably because it's Gen 1 and it's probably been owned by a couple of people, that I might go in there and just tune up that that lock bar just a tiny bit to help with the action, the lockup and the action on this one. It does work fine, but I think it is a little weak, and I think it could potentially, be a little bit better. So I might tune this up and finally throw the micarta scales on here that I've been sitting in my closet ever since I picked it up. I just thought the in-cut carbon fiber, I know it's hard to see, but I think it looks so cool. You see it's just got a little bit of colorway to it, but really tempted to throw the micarta scales on there with the black hardware. Haven't decided if I'm going to buff these out and anodize them, bronze or anything like that. I don't think it would look awful, but I think it would give it a little bit of pop. But I'm going to wait and throw the scales on there before I make that decision. But really happy I was able to pick that up, and I look forward to the Synapse coming out this summer. I'm hoping I can grab some of those since I missed out on the pre-order. Now, I did mention I was dual carrying. Here is what is in my fifth pocket. It is going to be my Doug Ritter Mini RSK MK1 made by Hogue. This is definitely one of my favorite fifth pocket knives. I do love their A-block system. It works really nicely. Hogue puts a fantastic edge on their knives. I've never picked up a Hogue that I wanted to put a fresh edge on. It just comes out so slicey, so nice. And this has surprisingly good ergos for a little fifth pocket backup knife or something that you want to pull out discreetly. And I love the blade shape on this. It gets that tip down low for the utility cuts, has a very flat bottom for pushing through cardboard. This thing surprisingly does well, but they also do have the full size if you don't like this smaller variant of it. The G Mascis looks really nice, and the bidirectional patterning on there really adds to the confidence that you have when you're holding this one in hand. Really just does a good job. Now, I did swap out for a Benchmade bug out pocket clip because the factory clip came all the way down past that screw. I wish they would just have shortened up the Doug Ritter labeled pocket clip that they make for this one, but I get it. You know, they got to save costs where they can to keep this under $200, which is a fantastic value for this. But that is what is, I don't know where to stick this guy. We'll stick him over here. Oh gosh, that is what is in my fifth pocket today. What did you carry this week? What do you have in your pocket today? And what have you really been enjoying the most? I know a few of you out there picked up the Chevalier from Civivi. I am still collecting my thoughts and impressions on that for the long-term review. I did drop the edge back to 19 degrees. Usually I go to 18, but with it being just a slightly thicker geometry, I kept it at 19. And man, 14C28N from Civivi continues to perform very well. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all the support for those that are already subscribed. But if you're not subscribed, what are you waiting for? I have way more videos viewed than I do subscribers, and that can't be that some of you aren't coming back to check out the content. Think about subscribing. I really would appreciate the support. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like for me. And until next time, peace.